Power, by its very essence, is fluid. It flows not to those who plead for it, but to those who seize it with understanding and force. In the same way, the nature of woman is not fixed, but shifting, like the tide that answers not to man's will, but to the moon. A man who does not grasp this truth will find himself constantly unbalanced, bewildered by changes in tone, affection, and allegiance. She is not chaos, she is order of another kind, one rooted in advantage, instinct, and survival. To the untrained, a woman's behavior appears fickle, her loyalty questionable, her emotions unpredictable. But what seems unpredictable to the fool is often predictable to the strategist. He who studies the patterns, the movements, the small tests she gives, he begins to see not a mystery but a map. She, like fortune, favors the bold. She respects strength, but strength is not merely in the body. It is in mind, in posture, in resolve. The man who is easily swayed, who reveals all his thoughts, who makes himself an open book, invites only contempt. The man who conceals his hand, who speaks little but observes much, this man awakens intrigue, and with intrigue, control. A woman does not follow a man because he is good. She follows because he is useful or dangerous or both. Love is not the currency she trades in. It is admiration, necessity, power. She instinctively aligns herself with the highest value male in her reach, and if a higher one appears, the tide may shift. This is not wickedness, it is nature. Lions do not apologize for eating deer, and women do not apologize for pursuing advantage. The weak man calls it betrayal. The wise man calls it inevitability. Therefore, a man must not seek permanence in the affections of a woman. He must seek to become the man who does not need her, yet is constantly chosen by her. He must not expect consistency from her unless he himself becomes the unwavering pillar. In a world where the female mind bends with mood and moment, he must become the fixed point. That fixedness does not come from begging, simping, or softness. It comes from power, from control, from self-possession. A man who treats her like a prize will be disqualified. A man who sees her as a player in the larger game, who moves not in reaction, but in anticipation, becomes untouchable. Charm is the weapon most men never see drawn. It does not strike with the force of a sword, nor the finality of poison, but it cuts deeper than both. It disarms, it blinds, it convinces the weak man that what he sees is truth, when it is merely performance. A woman's charm, her sweetness, her laughter, her softness, these are not accidents. They are instruments. Instruments forged not in malice, but in necessity, honed over generations not to soothe, but to secure power without bloodshed. The man who sees charm as a virtue is already conquered. He is seduced not by the woman, but by the illusion she casts. He believes that the smile means loyalty, that the gentle touch means love, that the flattery is real. He believes because he wants to, not because the evidence supports it. And so, he becomes predictable, moldable, weak. He begins to act not out of strategy, but out of desire to please. He loses control because he never realized he was in a contest for it. The woman who masters charm does not need brute force. She does not need to demand, she suggests. She does not argue, she implies. Her power lies in making a man believe her idea was his. Her demand, a favor he wishes to grant. In this way, charm is the most subtle form of domination. The victim praises his captor, smiles in his cage, and calls it love. A man must train himself to see past charm. He must study what lies beneath the surface, not merely what is presented to him. What does she gain by this affection? What shift in power does this softness conceal? What is the consequence of saying no to her request versus yes? These are the questions the discerning man asks, not because he is bitter or hateful, but because he understands the game being played. To mistake charm for love is to give the enemy your sword. To mistake charm for goodness is to forget history. Empires have fallen, not to armies, but to whispers in the ears of kings. Men have betrayed kingdoms, friends, even themselves, not for gold or threat, but for the sweet lies of a charming voice. A man must therefore regard charm with suspicion, not awe. He must know that behind the beauty there may be strategy, behind the affection there may be ambition. Only then can he move as a master, not as a servant. A man who seeks to be loved is a man who has already surrendered. Love, in its ideal form, is fleeting. It bends under pressure, fades with time, and vanishes at the first scent of weakness. The one who hungers for love becomes a servant to it, adjusting his words, posture, and even soul to maintain its fragile presence. He softens his edges, hides his ambition, and asks for permission to lead. And in doing so, he loses the very thing that might have commanded respect. It is not love that holds power, it is fear, it is reverence, it is usefulness. A man must choose to be adored like a pet or to be respected like a ruler. When a woman loves a man too much, often she will begin to test him, not because she desires his downfall, but because she desires certainty. She wants to know if he is who he appears to be. If he fails these tests, if he folds, appeases, apologizes too easily, then her love turns to contempt. The pedestal becomes a grave. To be respected, a man must set boundaries that are immovable. He must operate not from need, but from abundance. He must demonstrate that his self-worth is not tied to her validation. When she pushes, he does not flinch. When she threatens to leave, he opens the door, not out of cruelty, but out of principle. This unshakable stance creates gravity. She is pulled toward it because deep in her nature, she craves structure, order, dominance, not the dominance of oppression, but the dominance of control and direction. Fear, when properly applied, is not terror. It is awe. It is the awareness that this man cannot be played, cannot be swayed by tears or temptation. He does not react emotionally. He does not plead. He observes, he calculates, he decides, and in this way, he becomes the axis around which the world turns. Even love, when it does appear, becomes different. It is not the desperate love of a woman who pities a man. It is the admiration of a woman who respects a man she cannot control. The one who desires to be loved at all costs will compromise everything. He will flatter, he will chase, he will beg, he will lower himself until he is beneath notice, but the one who prioritizes respect, even at the risk of being unloved, will find that true loyalty, true submission, true devotion come not from weakness, but from strength. Emotion is the great deceiver of men. It promises clarity, but delivers chaos. It whispers of love, pain, jealousy, and hope. But those who act upon these whispers find themselves trapped, not liberated. The man who rules from emotion is like a captain who throws away the compass in a storm, trusting the waves to carry him to safety. He may feel alive in the moment, but he is always one moment away from destruction. Those who betray him do not need to be clever, they only need to provoke him. The man who cannot control his emotions becomes the easiest target. He reacts instead of responds. He lashes out when challenged, sulks when ignored, and collapses when tested. A woman who observes such a man quickly learns how to shape him. She knows which buttons to press, when to offer affection, and when to withhold it. She need not use logic or reason. His emotions are the leash, and she holds it without ever appearing to pull. He is led, all the while believing he is free. A wise man does not trust his feelings. He interrogates them. He feels anger but does not speak until the fire cools. He feels love but does not surrender control. He feels jealousy but hides it behind silence and study. He knows that every emotion is a potential tool for manipulation. The more visible his feelings are, the more easily he can be exploited. He is not a cold man, he is a controlled man. His emotions serve him, not the other way around. In the game of power, detachment is a weapon. He who can detach himself from the moment can see the entire battlefield. While others cry, argue, or chase validation, he calculates. He understands that human behavior, especially the behavior of women, is rarely pure. It is driven by desires, fears, and incentives. If he allows his emotions to interfere, he misses these patterns. He becomes blind to motive. He becomes prey. A woman respects the man she cannot manipulate emotionally. She may try to provoke, seduce, shame, or test him, but when he remains unshaken, she sees something rare, mastery. That mastery speaks louder than any romantic gesture or spoken word. It is the quiet signal that he belongs to himself, that his center is immovable. She may not say it aloud, but she knows it. And in that knowledge, she yields, not because she is forced, but because nature bends to strength. A woman does not admire a man simply because he is strong. She tests him to confirm it. Her trials are not always obvious. Sometimes they arrive cloaked in questions, in silence, in sudden distance, in subtle disrespect. They are not acts of sabotage, but instincts of selection. She must know that the man beside her can stand unmoved when the world leans on him, even if she becomes the pressure. It is not hatred that drives her to do this. It is nature, ancient and unapologetic. The man who does not understand this dynamic takes offense. He believes her doubts are disloyalty, her criticisms an attack. He becomes defensive, emotional, compliant, anything to preserve her approval. And in doing so, he fails the very test he was meant to pass. Her subconscious sees this and records a truth. He can be moved, he can be controlled, he can be weakened. Once this judgment is made, her respect dies in silence, even if her words still offer praise. What she says matters little. What she feels when she looks at him determines everything. Every test she gives is an opportunity, not to earn love, but to prove resilience. The man who passes these trials does not explain himself, does not argue, does not seek validation. He remains calm, measured, and unmoved. He speaks when necessary and with weight. He does not allow his emotions to dance in front of her. She senses in him something beyond the ordinary, a man not seeking to please, but to rule. Not her, but himself. That self-rule is magnetic. It is not his wealth, his muscles, or his charm that hold her. It is his unshakable presence. She is drawn to the man who can impose order on her chaos, not the one who submits to it. Her nature may fight this truth, but it will never escape it. The moment he bends for her approval, she knows she has no reason to follow him. The moment he resists her pressure with strength, not cruelty, but firmness, she knows she has found something rare. And that rarity becomes value. That value becomes devotion. Her tests may never end. One day she may question his decisions. The next she may withhold affection. The next she may provoke with silence or competition. But none of this is random. It is the eternal question she asks without words. Are you still worthy of leading me, or have you become like the rest? You were warned, not with trembling hands or desperate cries, but with truths carved in stone, silent and eternal. The nature of woman, the illusions of charm, the dangers of weakness, the treachery of emotion, and the trials she brings, all these were laid bare for the man who chooses to see. Yet most turned away, preferring comfort over clarity, fantasy over discipline. But not you. You are not here to be devoured by the game. You are here to master it, not to chase affection, but to command respect, not to react, but to rule. The world, like woman, bends not to those who beg for love, but to those who move with unshakable will. Let them laugh at your silence. Let them misjudge your strength. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be obeyed. Let others fall to charm and lose themselves in emotion. You will stand alone if you must, but never beneath her. She will test you, but she will never conquer you, because now you know.